Let's read Genesis 11, verses 1 through 4. Now all the earth used the same language and the same words. And it came about, as they journeyed east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let's make bricks and fire them thoroughly." And they used brick for stone, and they used tar for mortar. And they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top will reach into heaven. And let's make a name for ourselves, otherwise we will be scattered abroad over the face of all the earth." Given the genealogies listed for us in Genesis chapter 10, we can calculate that it was about 300 or so years after the flood ended that we see the people deciding to make bricks and build a tower. I also want to take a moment and clarify for you what Shinar is. Shinar is an ancient word used occasionally in the Bible to represent the area of Babylon, which for us is modern-day Iraq. This is the story of the Tower of Babel, and that's where Babylon gets its name. But back to our story. What was the reason they used to justify their decision? It's in red. Let's read that again. It says, "Let's make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered abroad over the face of all the earth." They wanted to make a name for themselves, and they didn't want to be scattered over all the earth. But it's a little more than that, however. Let's look at the original language, the Hebrew. The words build a city mean, in Hebrew, to build a city of excitement and terror. So they wanted this city to really stand out. They wanted to make a name for themselves. But let's keep translating back into Hebrew to make sure we fully understand. They wanted to add a tower to the city. In Hebrew, the word tower means an elevated place or stage or pulpit. So their goal was to build a city of excitement and terror with an elevated place as a stage or pulpit in it. They wanted this tower's top to reach into heaven. The word heaven here means the visible sky and the abode of the stars. So they wanted the tower to be tall and lead to the heavens or the sky and the stars. All right, let's look at their reason in Hebrew. They said, "Let us make a name for ourselves," which means to make a name and reputation, a memorial, a monument, to seek fame and glory like God. They wanted to be famous for their accomplishment. They wanted fame and glory. The root Hebrew word for that phrase is pronounced shame in Hebrew, and I find that kind of ironic. This particular use of that word is a neon sign lighting up the shame of the people. The second part in red is a little more simple in the Hebrew. It means what you think it means in English. "Otherwise we will be scattered abroad over the face of all the earth" actually means lest we be dispersed or scattered over the surface of the entire earth in Hebrew. So the people wanted to make a name and reputation or memorial or monument of fame and glory like that of God for themselves, so that they would not be dispersed or scattered over the surface or face of all the earth. They were truly a united nations. One people speaking one language and using one vocabulary and dictionary. They were motivated by one spirit of pride and one compelling desire to make a name for themselves. The only thing missing was the approval of God. So what do you think? Were they on board with the command God had given Noah and his family? It sounds to me like they were doing the exact opposite. Many Bible scholars think that what they were building was something like a ziggurat, of which there are many in ancient ruins around the world. At the top was a special shrine dedicated to a god or goddess. In building the structure, the people weren't trying to climb up to heaven to dethrone God per se. Rather, they hoped that the god or goddess they worshipped would come down from heaven to meet them. But we'll come back to that in a few moments. The structure and the city were called Babel, which means the gate of the gods. They wanted it to be tall so it would reach up into the heavens. So I imagine it kind of like this, which is basically a really big version of a ziggurat. Well, we know that God told the people to do the exact opposite of what they chose to do. So let's see what happens next.